How's it going, guys? And welcome to your Royal Rumble review. So, this show was quite odd, I have to say. I don't really know how to really feel about it. I really like who they picked to win. As far as, who would you pick to win these Rumbles? I mean, I've seen, I was on Twitter, I was live tweeting throughout the show, and I was noticing like a lot of opinions I disagree with, and like people wanting other people besides Brock Lesnar to win the Rumble. I don't think a lot of people were too mad at Ronda Rousey. No, I get it. That's a lot of the marks out there, the internet wrestling community voicing their opinion. So it's not really the general consensus of things. But, I remember when Rousey left WWE, she was getting booed and booed for like no real reason at all because people loved cringy Lynch so much and they wanted the world for old cringy. And then you take a look at like matches that happen on this show with Cringy Lynch, and you see like how far she's come. But yeah, good winners: Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey. They're the most over, in their for the males and for the females. But I gotta tell you, this show dragged something fierce. I don't know what it was, but it started in the women's rumble. We're gonna talk about. So we started off the show with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, and this match ends with a disqualification when Roman Reigns won't release the guillotine choke on Rollins. So first things first, Rollins comes out in the Shield gear, and this it didn't seem like the actual Shield gear that he used to wear. It looked kind of makeshift. They gave him like a Nike compression shirt and just kind of threw like a vest with a lot of buckles on it. And, but I guess it was close enough. But yeah, Shield Rollins is there and Roman Reigns looks all annoyed, and for the life of me, I can't figure out while all of a sudden out of the clear blue sky, Roman Reigns is all pissed off that, that Seth Rollins hit him in the back with a chair. To me, like they've revisited this story so many times and over revisited it. I mean, I went through it in my SmackDown review, so I won't go over it too much here, but like, I don't understand how Roman in storyline, from a storyline perspective, how he could be this pissed off at something that happened so long ago that's been talked about on screen, in the story just 1,000 times throughout the years. It's enough already with this story. I've said it. The Shield was not that over. They make like the Shield was as big as the NWO or as big as DX. They weren't even as big as Evolution or tons of other factions. They weren't even as big as the Nation of Domination. Come on. I mean, let's look at this honestly. They weren't even as big as the Nexus, who only lasted a few months. I think the Nexus was more over as an act, to be quite honest. Maybe that's pushing it a little bit, but I'm just saying, I think the Shield is extremely overrated as a faction. And, when you really look at like what they did and, what transpired during the Shield's run, there was nothing really that amazing or groundbreaking that they did. Like, I can't really think of any big, huge, massive moments that changed the landscape of WWE forever. If anyone can think of them, put them here, in the comments, because I certainly can't think of all too many. Were there a few? Sure. But anyway, so this match is happening, and, it's a good match. I've said, I like Rollins now to a certain extent. I feel like he's kind of fallen off a little bit from where he was with Edge when it comes to promos. But I think that's because he was working with Edge, and Edge is a veteran. And not that Rome is any slouch, but I don't know. I don't feel that same magic there from Rollins like when he was working with Edge. And that is when he started to really bring out this new character in him. So, he was in character during this match, which was good. But when Roman Reigns hits him with the spear on the outside, brings him on the inside, knocks him down with another spear, and Rollins is there on the mat. You know, I'm just saying to myself, like, he's no selling the spear. And he's laughing at it. And it's not like he's a big guy. It's not like we're talking about Bobby Lashley or Brock Lesnar here where they could get away with not really selling something. Like, I'm sorry, after 2 spears from the Universal Champion, the guy that looks like Roman Reigns, you should be dead on the mat, ready for the pin. It's the end of the match. But, you know, Roman picks him up, puts him in the guillotine choke. So now he should be flat dead. He should just, you know, if he's not going to tap out, let him pass out in the hold. And, you know, I don't know where we're getting this resilience from. Like, is Rollins supposed to be the baby face here, or is he the heel? Even though he's maniacally laughing like a bad guy. So it's like, who are we pulling for here? The story is just like, it's not making any sense that the heel character is bringing up his heel tactics that he did to the heel champion 8 years ago. I'm like, I don't understand like what story is being told here. But he's actually struggling with Roman in the guillotine choke. Picks his ass up, mind you, off the canvas. So he's getting Superman John Cena tendencies in this match. You know, he's going full Hogan here, and that's all fine for those characters. But this is Seth Rollins. Oh, excuse me. Seth freaking Rollins. I'm sorry. I'm never going to say his name like that in a review, because I think it is so ridiculous that they've actually officially changed his name to Seth freaking Rollins, where now the announcers can't just simply say Seth Rollins. They have to actually say the whole name in there. Like, I'm sorry, you know, freaking, it's not a good nickname. It's not like Stone Cold or the Hitman or the Anvil. You know, it's just, no, I'm sorry. It's not good. It's not like the Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith. Sorry, but freaking that's no. I'm sorry, that's not a nickname that deserves to be part of your actual like ring name. But that's what pissed me off here. He's picking up Roman Reigns, who's supposed to be this dominant champion, and that he may be based on his records, but you know, we've seen Roman Reigns struggling with people like Finn Balor, for God's sakes. Kevin Owens, people that he should have taken out, no problem. And here's Rollins, you know, he's not a slouch or anything, but he shouldn't be lifting Roman off the canvas. And he gets, well, this was also weird too. The referee is like doing the hand drop, you know, when the hand drops 3 times, you know, that's it. It basically counts as like a submission. Well, this time the hand drops and it falls on the rope. So like, is that the referee's fault there? Anyway, Roman won't let go and he keeps him in the hold. He won't release for the count of 5 and he gets disqualified. He takes a chair and starts bashing Rollins with it. You know, the thing is here, like, we're completely just making finishers a joke here. I mean, we're trivializing them to the point where they're not even finishers. We can't even rightfully call them finishers because they don't finish a match. 2 finishers, and Rollins is basically sitting up laughing. You know, he may be holding his ribs, but like, could I ask a question here? You've been speared by a man that looks like Roman Reigns, a fucking guy that used to play football. So, like, you should not even be able to breathe after being hitting with 2 spears like 30 seconds apart. But somehow, some way, you know, and that's the thing, you know, suspension of disbelief. I get it. We were discussing this on Twitter, but I'm sorry. You know, you can take your world champion's finisher and trivialize it and make it meaningless. I'm telling you, like, we're doing this way too much with, you know, it's not even like it's a false finish or anything like that. And that's bad enough that we have the overusage of false finishes in wrestling. And God knows it's even more of a massive problem in AEW and many other promotions like doing that shit. But here, like, we should not be doing this in the greatest wrestling company in the world, right? Anyway, let's move on. We've got the Women's Royal Rumble, and this was, sloppy. It was fun, but it was sloppy, to say the least. I mean, guys, it dragged in parts. It felt long. I mean, there were parts where I was having fun. There were still surprises in here. Like, I don't think they announced Melina. She had her full entrance and everything, and it was fun to see Melina. Sasha Banks came out dressed as Sailor Moon, and I got to tell you, I really cringe every single time these wrestlers, do these like comic book. And I know Rey Mysterio used to do it at WrestleMania, like he came out as Daredevil and Captain America one year. That's all fine and well, because that's Rey Mysterio. It's one guy doing it. But now all these wrestlers doing all these little things, like New Day. Like I said this like years ago. Like, remember when the New Day came out in Saiyan armor, and I was like, oh my God, just please. Like, and you guys know how big of a Dragon Ball fan I am, but like, I said this like with the Muppets. I love the Muppets, and I love the Muppet Show, and I love everything having to do with Jim Henson, but keep that shit separate. Because I'm telling you, it makes the wrestling just look very nerdy and just very niche, and I don't like it. But that's my opinion, I suppose. But anyway, Melina comes out. She does her split. Sasha does it too. And then she dumps Melina out like a piece of trash. And I'm like, this just kind of annoyed me, because I'm like looking here. I'm just looking at Sasha. I'm looking like at Melina. Melina looks like a fucking woman. I mean, she looked amazing. And and then I'm looking at Sasha, and I'm just, maybe this is just my opinion, that like I don't find Sasha Banks attractive, but like I'm just saying, it was a clear distinction of like then and now. And it kind of was like almost the same thing with Lita and Charlotte. Like, I really realized it. Like, when you see them standing face to face, you really realize, like, man, these wrestlers today, they just don't look like stars like they used to. They just don't look, like, the old expression, they don't make them like they used to. Well, they just don't, I suppose. And yeah, Melina just dumped out like she's nothing. And I'm just saying, like, man, Melina just still looks great for her age, and even though her heyday was like 15 years ago, even more than that, she appeared with Eminem back in 2005. So we're talking about like quite a bit of time has passed there. 16 and a half years. Pretty soon it'll be 17. And I know she's been in the NWA. So I was kind of surprised to see her there based on that. But of course, Mickie James coming out, not only with the Impact Championship, but her hardcore country theme music. She had her TNA music and everything. And I gotta say, like, I don't think that was pumped in, because you could tell, like, the crowd response was way more for her than Sasha Banks, or like really, besides Ronda Rousey. Like, what a response from Mickie James and Lita too. And when Mickie James came out, when Lita came out, this is where things really started to pick up, and it didn't seem like it dragged as much. There was also some really weird entries here that I didn't expect, like Ivory doing her right to censor gimmick, which was kind of fun. And the funny thing is, I'm kind of thinking to myself, like, she used to yell at all the girls for being scantily clad back in the day, and she's just kind of looking at like Ronda, Rhea Ripley, and like kind of saying that they're little girls and everything. And I don't think she had like enough material on the mic here, to be quite honest. Like, I was listening to what she was saying, and like, this is not what the gimmick was supposed to be, so it didn't come across quite well. And like, why would Ivory go back to the right to censor gimmick after she dumped that and went back to being regular Ivory, who, sometimes would be a bit scantily clad at times and do bikini shoots after that. So like, she's all of a sudden now back to the RTC thing. Molly Holly, another one, just like straight up getting disrespected here. Like, here I've talked about it in reviews numerous times, but we've got Nikki Ash, right? Nikki Cross, who's been doing this gimmick. People are comparing her to a Make-A-Wish kid. They're saying she doesn't, look just like how goofy it looks. And like, what the hell is that even, that raccoon tail thing? I know it's not a raccoon tail thing, but it's hanging from her mask. It just looks so horrible. And I talked about how did Mighty Molly have like an outfit that was kind of comical, but still like it didn't look just straight up goofy. So here comes Mighty Molly. She just gets beat down by Nikki Ash and then, gets thrown in the ring, then dumped out almost immediately. Here we had a chance to really have something great here. Maybe we could have had a comedy spot with like Molly doing this and Nikki doing this as well, hands on the hips, doing the poses. They could have done some type of competitive thing, or maybe they could have like teamed up a little bit, because Mighty Molly was also a heel. She started off as with the Hurricane, but no, we don't get any of that. We don't get any like of those cool then and nows. For example, we had one of the Iconics, Billy Kay and Jillian Hall together. And because they were both like kind of goofy. It was kind of fun seeing them together, and they kind of lasted together in the Rumble for a while, but they just didn't do that here. So just a lot of blown opportunities, and some real bargain basement returns here, like really just like digging the bottom of the barrel, just showing that they just didn't have enough here really to go the distance. We had the Bellas, of course, were in there. Cameron, like, you're probably asking me like who did I just say? Cameron? Like, yeah, Cameron from the Funkadactyls, Naomi's dance partner. And so Sonya Deville's in there. She's on commentary because she won't go into the ring right away. She was like in and out again. And she says like, oh, so, Cameron used to be one of Naomi's friends. So she goes in there and she tosses Cameron out. And like, I'm like, where did they get the idea to even bring her in? Like, Naomi hasn't even seen her in like how long has it been since they had Cameron there? When was she released? Like 2014 or 2015 or something like that, even before then. And she's out there, like, anyone is supposed to give a shit that she's been eliminated. Sarah Logan came in there, and Sarah Logan just looked straight up fucking terrifying. Like, holy shit, what did she do to herself? I understand they wanted to go more full-blown Viking gimmick. And, she was in there with Liv Morgan. And, Liv Morgan, I'm sorry, just watching her is painful. And this was the thing, like, when I mean it was sloppy, like, these girls, it's almost every single time they try to throw someone over the top rope, they're like either not tall enough to do it or they're not strong enough to do it. And like, I don't know how so many people like on Twitter and on YouTube are missing this, but like, you're clearly seeing that this is a big problem, because this is every single year that this happens in the Royal Rumble, that it does. I've said it time and time again. Women's wrestling is just naturally sloppy because that's just how it is. They're not as strong as the men. And with that being said, I don't know how we're constantly overlooking this because we want to respect the women and respect the women's division, and that we can. But maybe we shouldn't have a full-on hour-long women's Royal Rumble if it just can't be done properly. So Ronda Rousey comes out, she eliminates Charlotte. And, when it got down to the end there, we had Lita and we had Charlotte in there and we had Ronda Rousey with the big reception, and things got a bit more exciting. And there was the one moment with Charlotte and Rousey where it looked like Rousey was going to go out, but she didn't. And, it got pretty good then. But let's be quite honest, a lot of this dragged. I was kind of like, looking at the time, that's always the test here. If you ever have like the urge to look at your phone or look at the time, on your TV set or on your computer when watching this, that means that you're just not really enjoying what you're seeing. And it's not like this was, just completely bad and worthless. No, it was, it was fun to watch. It was entertaining, but was it something like really good that you're going to remember for ages? It's like what I always say. You're going to forget about this in probably a week, maybe 5 days tops. I'm just saying, like, it's not going to be a classic. So if you thought that, like, you've had enough women, in your life here, that you've seen almost every possible, combination of women going out in this Royal Rumble, well, you be wrong, because they're not done. How do you follow up a giant, exhausting match like this? How do you do it? Well, you follow it up with another women's match. This time it's going to be for the women's title, right? Okay, so we've got Cringy Lynch and Doudrop. And Doudrop, I don't know who told her, like when she got into the business to wear a leotard like that looks plaid. I mean, she looks like Humpty Dumpty, and like I said on Twitter, she looks like Fat Bastard from I'm not trying to be mean here, maybe a little bit, but she looks like Fat Bastard from Austin Powers here. And and I said to myself, I had to vocalize this. I've been waiting in this video to do this because I wrote it out in text on Twitter, but like, I just feel like, how she could be super over if she did. The Big Show even did this. When the Big Show was putting on more weight and he did the Fat Bastard gimmick back in 2000. Remember, could you imagine if she got on the mic during this feud or even here at the Royal Rumble and said, she goes, "Becky, get in my belly." Like, how hilarious would that have been? And then you could have had Hornswoggle run around, and you could have had Doudrop saying, "It's a baby." Like, I mean, just think about that. I mean, I know I'm being a bit silly here, but that would be entertainment. Because I mean, like, are we really supposed to sit here and not criticize Doudrop based on her drastically unhealthy appearance? She's not a power lifter. She is shaped just like a fucking boulder, and she's squished into this like tight little leotard. And I'm not saying she's like this ugly girl or anything like that. She looks like, first of all, she's like big boned, like she'd be a thick girl, and that's all fine and well. But like, man, she's like, Nia Jax would at least cover up a bit. She wouldn't have like skin all hanging out and everything. And like, I mean, I don't know. This to me is like a joke, and like the crowd is just dead. They're not reacting. Every now and again they'll go, "Oh," for a big move, but call an audible, for God's sakes. No one's into this match. I'm sorry. I think Cringy Lynch has completely lost all the popularity over the years. They haven't done anything new. It doesn't matter if she puts two little plush goats on her shoulder. Oh, she's the goat, so she has two goats. Oh, this is, and she changes these outfits, but like the fact still remains. She's not a stimulating character. She's not good at promos. And like Doudrop, like, I don't get it. There's two heels. There are two nasty, mean heels going at it. Cringy ends it with the rock bottom off the top rope, and that's the second rope. This ends the match, and my God, that was really just. It wasn't really a bad match, but man, like, you just felt like there was no real energy in there, and I guess it's because, the roar of the crowd really helps them out, and yeah, I think they really should have just shortened this thing up already and like just bring it home, guys. The crowd's not with you. There's no point in doing this. So what's up next? We've got Lashley defeating Brock Lesnar when we had a nice little swerve in there. It was kind of expected. Paul Heyman gives the belt over to Roman Reigns. Reigns interferes, gives the spear to Brock during the match. Heyman hands the belt to Reigns, and Reigns hits him in the face with it. He leaves with Heyman. Lashley ends up getting the pin. I thought that this was pretty good. See, like, there was some, like, no selling in the beginning with the German suplexes, but I'm fine with that. If you want to make these guys, like, two monsters, and then as the match wore on, they were feeling the effects, I thought I thought this was a pretty good match. I don't know what a lot of people were expecting out of this. I saw, like, people were saying they were disappointed. I mean, well, like, I don't understand, like, what were people expecting from this? I like that there was story involved in this, that it actually made sense that they would have a swerve here, that they're like fighting over Heyman. I think they need to kind of explain it a bit better, you know, why Heyman is like so torn between these two guys. Like, do a better job with the promos. Like when we get on SmackDown or Raw, whenever they're choosing to do this promo, like seriously, give a better explanation as to why, like, you now turned on Brock after you just turned on Roman. But like I said, I'm always a fan of storytelling. We need way more of that, and that's what this match intertwined into it, which was already just a good match by itself. It was a really fun, entertaining match between two powerhouses, two behemoths, and I really enjoyed it. But I don't know, some people seem like they were disappointed. Uh, you know, Edge and Beth Phoenix. Now, okay, before we move on, I need to also talk about the formatting of this show. So we kicked this thing off with a Universal title match. And I gotta say, like, that already pissed me off. I mean, we've done it before. I get it. We've kicked off WrestleMania numerous times. But I don't think Roman Reigns should be opening a pay-per-view. And not only that, but the way how they place this Lashley Brock match, which is a fucking dream match, how are you putting that match before Edge and Beth Phoenix against Miz and Maurice? Like, I get it, maybe that might be like sort of like someone's dream match. Like, it's the power couple versus the power couple of sorts, but like, at the end of the day, it's a mixed tag match. And you should not be putting that on after Lashley and Brock. Like, that does not make any sense to me. I mean, this is just like bad formatting. I mean, the way how the show should be built, and this is the problem with having two Rumble matches, it should build to a crescendo. And Vince Russo has said this numerous times. You start off, and you build up, and you build up, and and then you end on a high note. But here it's like we've got like one of these crazy looking line graphs that just like doesn't make any sense. It tires everyone out. You're given big matches with big swerves, and then we kind of just have what's a decent mixed tag. Nothing really to write home about. I mean, there's it was a good match between two good wrestlers. And Maurice, I gotta be honest, is no slouch either. She pulled her own weight in there. And Maurice looked like really good again, like just another one. Beth Phoenix, I mean, this look right here, I don't know like what the deal is. And this is even the same thing with like Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. What the hell is up with them all like doing this like raccoon thing with the heavy eyeliner? She's also got like, this design right here, like this, like the face paint. What is up with the face paint? All of a sudden, everyone is Legion of Doom, Demolition, like out of the clear blue sky. I don't know, like, I get it. Like, they want to add a little bit of pizzazz and personality to their appearance, but like, instead of actually having like personality, like this is like the stand-in for it. And I like Beth Phoenix and everything that she's done. She's had a lot of memorable moments. We can't forget about her antics with Santino Marella and such. But I gotta be honest. Like, that you're putting this on after a fucking world title match, which is a dream match for many people. Sorry, but like it was gonna kind of be dead in the water from the very start when you're gonna format a show like that, but not a bad match by any means. Then we have the men's Royal Rumble match, and even though we had a good result, a result that made sense, Brock ends up winning it for the first time since 2003, 19 years. You know, they couldn't get that nice even like 20 years in there, I'm sure, which would piss them off. But, it made sense. People were kind of angry with these winners, but like, come on, like, who are you going to give it to? Like, you're definitely not. Some people I saw were saying Big E. I'm so sorry, but why would we go the route of Big E again after that disastrous world title run that he had? It's quite honestly just mind-boggling, like that WWE ever listened to the fans like hardcore the way how they used to, because like, you would honestly have Big E like take all the wind and energy out of the room. What little was had after this completely exhausting show by having Big E win it. Like, after Big E already had his chance and really just kind of like, I'm not saying it was the guy's fault for not getting over, but still, acting like a New Day member. Maybe they told him to do that. I don't know. But whatever the case may be, Big E was not the right choice. No one else here was the right choice. I mean, like, seriously, who you're really going to give it to him? And like, if not him, then who else? But this was a really, like, kind of really boring match here that just had a few bright spots. Like, I did enjoy Omos getting in there. He was tossed out a little bit quicker than I thought he was going to. He eliminated like 3 people. Bad Bunny came in there, did a Canadian Destroyer. Actually looked like 10 times better than like almost any Canadian Destroyer I've actually probably seen since Petey Williams used to perform the move. Shane McMahon was in there. Johnny Knoxville jumped in. Sami Zayn managed to eliminate him, but Zayn got thrown out right away himself. We had Johnny Knoxville getting frog splashed, numerous finishers put on the guy. So, it was fun. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't like do a little follow up with like Wee Man. Like they didn't even show the Wee Man video. Brock puts his ass through a fucking table on TMZ, and if it wasn't for Pat McAfee mentioning it, no one would have known. He just like said it briefly, like you had that big, moment there, that big pop culture moment, that crossover between a UFC fighter fucking being a WWE star, a UFC fighter like this interacting, actually brutalizing a fucking jackass MTV star. And it's on TMZ and you're like barely mentioning it. I just didn't get that. And the other thing, really, what I had a big problem with, up to this point, this was only the second match that Pat McAfee called, and the Raw announce team is beyond fucking boring. I mean, they just, there's no energy there. I am so sorry. I know they have that, what is his name? The former UFC commentator on Raw, and I mean, he has a good voice and everything, but like, there's just not enough pizzazz. I mean, Pat McAfee has that Jerry Lawler, has that Taz, kind of mentality of just kind of saying things that are a little bit outside the box, a little bit shocking to get you interested, to keep your eyes glued, to keep your ears open to the commentary. But, man, yeah, this was just a really just like very like sloggy kind of Rumble. Also, Kofi Kingston was going for that big Rumble spot, and you have Michael Cole building it up. He's like, oh, this is the guy. He is the highlight, in my humble opinion, of the Royal Rumble, he says. So Kofi gets knocked to the barricade at ringside, and I guess the idea was, didn't he already do this? Like, I think he was probably going to just, like, walk, or maybe he was going to jump back to the ring apron. I kind of lost track of all the little stunts he's done during the Rumble. And, they might be like a fun spot. Sometimes they're like a little cheesy, like him hopping on like the chair to get back in the ring. That one to me was just kind of lame. But anyway, he lands on the barricade and like his feet are dangling, but his feet touched. So like they replay it, and like I don't know like why they even bothered to replay it, because if they didn't replay it, they could have gotten away with it easily, and no one would have noticed besides the people sitting in the front row. And who are they gonna tell? Are they gonna go on Twitter and say, "Oh, Kofi's feet actually hit. I was sitting right there"? No, they're not. Maybe they will. But they say like, "Oh no, he was eliminated," and there goes the big spot that like Michael Cole was putting over like crazy. So that was botched, and like I don't really care about that. But man, it just seemed like this Rumble was just not going the way that they would have wanted it to go, and the way how like us the viewer would want it to go either. So Brock comes in. Drew McIntyre actually ended up returning earlier than expected. It comes down to Drew and Brock ends up getting the win at the end. And, people are saying like they're complaining again about probably getting Roman and Brock again at WrestleMania. And, I do agree that they've done this match a lot of times, but let's be honest here. Who else are they going to put in the main event at Mania where it will be like an overmatch? We have to start thinking in terms of that, honestly. Like, are we going to really... This is what I don't get. Like, people, they want to have these matches that just, like, really no one wants to see other than themselves. So it makes quite a bit of sense for them to do the one match that actually people are interested in. So that's just me. I mean, yeah, this Rumble really like under-delivered in my opinion. I really did enjoy Lashley and Brock. That was a highlight. I'm going to honestly say that the women's Rumble was more entertaining than the men's. I cannot believe I'm honestly saying that. Quite honestly, I think that the men should be embarrassed by that because, yeah, I mean, this was already... Like, it was already a sloppy match, but, like, they just did it in a way that was more entertaining and was put better together. So I think that the guys should be just mad that the women's Rumble was given a bit more attention. As people were saying, like, there were a lot of mid-carders in this Rumble, and there's always mid-carders in Rumbles. That's not really a thing, but it's just, this really showed that, like, no one's over. You could see, like, I felt like Randy Orton got, like, one of the loudest pops when he came out also. And also, it was, people were booing when he was eliminated. So, I mean, but that's the live crowd. But, Orton's always over. I mean, the guy is a veteran. I mean, he's been there since 2002, for God's sakes. I mean, he might not be on the level of a John Cena, but, the guy is over. So, but, I mean, we're honestly, like, at that stage, are we really going to give it to Orton again? Of course not. But I'm just saying, the men's match did not have a lot of thought put into it. I know they were kind of scrambling around. There was talk that they had people on standby that like we saw here. This was not, like, planned out, like, very well in advance. They had so many other people, and you could go around and you could, like, listen to, like, Vince Russo's brand and, like, keeping it 100. They had people fucking on standby, names written down, people, like, in other promotions that, would have gladly probably taken a payday. They reached out to many people. I talked about the Iconics before. They mentioned also an offer being made to them. So very interesting the way how everything played out in the end. And to me, this was like really one of the least entertaining men's Rumbles in a long time. But yeah. Anyway, guys, let me know what you thought down in the comments below. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so you get all notifications when I post on my new videos. I want to thank all my patrons for your continued support. And thanks again, guys. I'll see you next time.